find people who are on their journey too. Find people who want to grow. It's all about growth.
This is going to be our secret, okay? We're going to figure out what it means to be fulfilled. What it actually means to be happy. This is going to be a journey, but hey, we're only here once, right? Hey guys, this is Stuart, and welcome to the podcast.
I'd like to start off this podcast by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone who has liked, commented, subscribed, shared the podcast. For the past week, I've gone into this state of reflection, taking back feedback from you guys. And you've re-taught me a very valuable lesson. One I know we all know, but at times we do need to relearn. Authenticity is the best course of action, especially when you're trying to tell a story, your story. So, believe me when I tell you, and I say I was extremely nervous for today's podcast. Not simply because of having to do one, because procrastination, but for the fact that I was doing my first in-person interview with Eanna Healy from the Revival Rooms. Eanna's story and that of the conception of the Revival Room is such an interesting one, and one that we can all relate to, because it centers around two things: growth and change. And asking yourself that really hard-hitting question, the question you kind of don't want to ask because you're afraid of the answer. Am I happy where I am in life right now? Or am I just comfortable? Now, Eanna's story didn't start in health and wellness. He went to college to do radio, broadcast, and production. He became a production technician. He was also a first responder. But he saw a change he wanted to make in his life, and he sought out, and he did it. And there were benefits. And he saw how those benefits could help other people, especially in today's high-paced, high-stressed society. And the Revival Room is another great example of growth and change, because this didn't just all happen at once. This took time. And then this took time during a point in time when a certain pandemic decided to just insert itself into our lives. Everything seemed to be against him at this point in time. But he saw the changes that needed to be made, and he persisted in making them. This is his story. So we're here with Eanna Healy. We're in Revival Rooms, Limerick. Tell us about your story and how we got to this point.
So, the reason why I started floating was because I was not in a good place, mentally or physically. So over the last 9 years, I was working in it's a well-known manufacturing facility here in Limerick, and I was doing shift work. So it was a month of days and a month of nights, and that has its benefits, but it has a lot of downsides. With sleep, your sleep is all over the place. There was a lot of stress in work as well. I was trying to do as much as I could, and I was kind of torn in a lot of different areas, trying to get involved in everything that I could get involved in. But it had a big mental toll on me and physical toll, and my sleep was just not good. And the thing is, I've had a very long history of anxiety and depression since I was in my teens, I think, kind of late teens, and all throughout my 20s. I had ups and downs, really, really dark times throughout forever, actually, for as far as I can remember. Mm-hmm. And all of that was, I would say, it was exacerbated by having not a great sleep schedule with work. And
let's go back to that. So you're saying that there was a toll because of your sleep on your mental health.
Well, sleep is so important. Yeah. You know how important sleep is. Getting consistent, maybe not for everyone, but a routine and a consistent sleep schedule is probably one of the most healthiest things you can do. Mm-hmm. And I see I've looked into this over so long because it was so important to me. I used to be a night owl. I used to be up till 4 a.m. Like I was telling you before, when I was in college, I was doing radio production and music, or radio broadcasting and music production. All these kind of creative things, you might get a lot of, your creativity just comes alive at a certain time at night, maybe, and you'll stay up late.
Yeah.
So the way you do a lot of social media, like videos, and you do a lot of editing and recording. So
it's the exact same. When that burst of inspiration comes, you try and grasp it, and you need to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what time that is. You could be planning on going to bed at 10
Yeah.
o'clock, and all of a sudden you're up till 3 a.m.
3 a.m. Yeah, you're still at sea.
That's
You're
it.
like, oh.
That's why I stopped that side of it. I stopped kind of music production and radio, because I would just get these creative spurts late at night, and I'd be up to 4, 5, 6 in the morning sometimes as well. So I think for me personally, it was just trying to get a lifestyle that had a consistent kind of sleep schedule.
Okay, yeah.
That was important for me, because I notice when I don't sleep, I don't make good decisions. I'm a bit moody. I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I have no motivation. That's what it's like for me.
I think a lot of people can resonate with that. Not enough sleep, or lack of sleep at a certain time, or inconsistent sleep. Like their emotions are all over the place. And what is that due to?
Yeah, beats me. I don't know, but I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's it. I know what it feels like. But I was even taking antidepressants for 10 years. 10 years from when I was 20. And, I'm sure that had an impact, because you don't take them long term. They're a short term solution, and I totally understand the need for them, because they do help a lot of people. But I think I was just chopping and changing, upping the dose, changing constantly. I needed different ones, and I kind of all of that led me up to trying to find something else to do, which led me to floating, because I tried a lot of different things. And when I had my first float, everything changed for me. I decided to give up my antidepressants. I stopped going out the weekends. That was one of the biggest changes I made, because I don't know if you drink much, but alcohol destroys your sleep. It absolutely.
Okay.
Now you can sleep a little easier. I think some people actually say they might have a few drinks before they go to bed. I was never on that level, but you don't get a rested sleep. It disrupts your deep sleep when after.
NREM sleep or REM sleep?
I think REM sleep.
REM
I don't
sleep
think you even have REM sleep if you're in due to alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure on that, but that was just me going out every weekend. I used to go out every weekend, and I wouldn't be rested. You need your few days to rest. And when I started floating, I just started making a lot of lifestyle changes, because I felt so good from it.
Yeah.
It made me feel really good. So I started changing a lot of my lifestyle to keep up that feeling, that good feeling.
Were you switching out certain things then?
Well, what I was doing was I was actually booking a float on a Sunday morning down in Cork, because that's where I could float at the time. And that was just an excuse to not go out then.
Yeah.
So I would drive down in the morning, Sunday morning, and float. And then I started experiencing really good weekends. And my sleep improved.
Yeah.
Majorly after my first float. And absolutely, I had 8 hours sleep that night, and it was amazing. I just felt great the next day. I started making better decisions in work. Things didn't bother me as much. And when that happened, I knew there was something to this.
Yeah.
So I went down to Cork again a place called Zero Gravity Float in Cork. That's where I floated first.
Yeah.
Amazing place. And I floated 3 days after my first float. I was back 3 days later. I was like, I need to try this again. What is this? And it was just a strange experience, and I just felt amazing after it. And then I started bringing friends and family down floating and seeing what they thought of it, what their experience was like. People were very skeptical of it because, it's like, you can just sit in a bathtub in the dark. That's what
people think when
Yes.
they initially think of what floating is, and when they see the pictures of the pods. Yeah.
I could just turn off the light in my bath.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's a controlled environment. The water is heated to skin temperature, so the air, the water, and your body are the same temperature. And there's a certain, we call it specific gravity. It's like the buoyancy of the water. That's at a certain level to, hold you up. And then there's no light, no sound, no taste, all their senses are reduced. So it's a very controlled environment. But when I was bringing friends and family down who were, like I said, who were kind of skeptical of the idea, they were getting something from it too. They felt great. And I started traveling to all the other float centres in Ireland that I could find.
There's very few.
There is. And at that time, there was maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And now there's a lot more. They're really kind of picking up because it is growing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are finding out about it, and the benefits are it's all word of mouth,
Do you think a lot more people are not so much self-aware, but they're willing to try alternative forms of helping themselves rather than, like you said, short-term medication that can become addictive, or going out on the weekends to, let's say, forget the week past?
Now is like the whole society we live in is just so it's kind of mayhem, really, Yes.
Yeah.
I think people really are looking after themselves now. We've just come off the back of a very stressful period of time for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were isolated. Everyone had to keep away from their grandparents and their parents, and I'm sure there's a lot of stress in families, and it could put a big strain on families because there would have been cousins or brothers and sisters who were not following the rules, let's say, and that would have put a lot of strain on families. But now, because of that, I think people are really, really looking after themselves, and I see just a lot of different modalities, like yoga is absolutely huge, breathwork, floating, gyms are absolutely crazy busy now.
Hopping, yeah.
Yes, there's just, people are just really waking up to look after themselves. That is how you deal with stress. Medication is not the way. It can be short term, of course, but your lifestyle is who you are.
Yeah.
And it's how you feel. It's all your lifestyle.
How can your lifestyle affect you for the positive that you can take away from, let's say, the crutches that we need, that have been given to us in society? Take this pill, you will be okay.
The quick fix. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Isn't it? The quick fix.
But why is that? Why aren't we willing to work on ourselves?
Exactly. It's because we're so used to getting quick hits, quick hits of dopamine, quick hits of everything. Whatever we want, order it online, it's here. Everything is just fast. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of society we live in. It's just a very fast-paced society. What you want, you can have as soon as you want it. There's no waiting. But then when it comes to personal growth, and that's a very long-term thing. It takes time to improve yourself. And some people just can't deal with that. The time it takes, the effort it takes, you got to put in the work. It's what you put in, you get out. So, like I said, your lifestyle is the biggest.
It's the biggest benefit you can give to yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, to treat yourself right. Give yourself the best chance. You're only here for like a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So why does it take our lifespan to try and be happy with ourselves? Why do you think that is? That's a very deep question. Sorry.
Well, no, it takes our life to figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. You'll learn and grow from every experience that happens. And like who you are now, just compare yourself to who you were 10 years ago. What you thought about things, what you were doing back then. You're totally different. And that's just from picking up experience, learning from different people, whoever you have around you. I'm sure a lot of people's kind of closest friends now mightn't be the people they used to hang around with 10 years ago. You grow out of friendships, you grow out of relationships because for lack of a better word, they don't serve you anymore, you know? So I think everyone is just growing and learning at different rates. And I think you have to put yourself out there and do the things that require a lot of work. And that's where the growth comes.
And what is growth?
Growth is... Good question. Growth is change. And growth is uncomfortable. But it's experience. And yeah, I can't really elaborate on that one.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable because I think the most uncomfortable things you can do come with the biggest growth.
Yeah.
Things you don't want to do. The hardest things you can do are the ones that you benefit from the most.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do it. The way I see it now, the way I see things now, if I don't want to do something, that makes me do it. You know, if it's something like, oh, I wouldn't like that, then you got to do it, 100%. Put yourself in those situations.
Have you ever heard or read Mel Robbins and her 5-second rule?
I've heard of that.
I'm a constant preacher of this, where it's the fact that if you don't want to do something, but it will benefit you in the long run, count down from 5 and do it before you hit 1. And like that's even jumping into the water like I do, like a madman, or it could be actually coming and booking a float tank for the first time. Things that you wouldn't necessarily do because it's not part of your daily lifestyle, but it could benefit you.
Yeah.
You need to do it.
If you get that, that's yourself just stopping you. It's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you count down.
Why do you think we stop ourselves?
Because it's comfortable. Who wants change? Comfortable is keeping the status quo.
And what's the difference, in your personal opinion, between comfortable and complacency?
Never fear shadows. They simply mean there's a light somewhere nearby. Ruth E. Wrinkle.
Curveball.
That's That's something I have to like ask myself every day. Am I comfortable or am I being complacent and not doing work? And I find a lot of people are like that sometimes.
Yes. Well, comfortable is... It's a protection. You're protecting yourself. You know, being comfortable. Now you can take being comfortable as in you got a house and you know you're comfortable with finances, but being comfortable with who you are and what you're doing is you're holding yourself back by just it's safe.
Yeah.
You know, it's safety. And it's a defense. I think it's a psychological defense mechanism that just keeps you going the way you're going, because doing something you're not comfortable with is change, and change can be painful. It can be full of anxiety. It can be, you know, it can be just very difficult, strenuous, and
everything we try and stay away from.
Everything we try to stay away from, absolutely, yeah.
And what's your view on complacency?
Complacency.
Will we come back to that?
Yeah.
I'll come back to
think about that one.
Can we talk about the growth that you've had over the last 2 years? 2019, you were starting your own facility. COVID hit. Then there was stuff to do with construction to build revival rooms, which has now become one of the biggest spots in Limerick.
in terms of it has in terms of like trying to find alternative ways of connecting with oneself.
So my own personal growth?
Yes. And
How?
revivals.
Well, I had never, this is the first business for me, you know. This is not something I even thought I would ever do. I didn't think I would have a business. It was
Really?
absolutely. I was working as a technician.
Yeah.
And maybe organizing some events. I liked creative things like radio and music and video production. I like all that. But I thought I was just going to be working somewhere in a factory, maybe an engineer. That's where I saw myself, you know. I had changed my view of what my future would look like 100 times every year. You know, I would constantly just, well, who am I and where do I want to go with life? So, but I never thought I would set up a business.
Mm-hmm.
But I just felt so good. I felt so good from floating that I needed to give that to other people. Okay. I needed other people to experience that. And I looked around me and I could see so many people who could benefit from it. And I was like thinking, I need to facilitate that for other people. Because there is a man, Dave, the owner of Zero Gravity Float in Cork. I had so much respect for him. Because when I went there, you know, it's really focused on your growth and it's facilitating your float. It's all about you when you go there. They really care about the customer.
Yeah.
And I had so much respect for him because of what he did. Because floating benefited him a lot. And he decided to open this up and facilitate it for other people as well. So when you go, I started here. I wanted to build a place to help people, you know, to facilitate people change, which is why it's called revival rooms. For me, it was a revival. It changed me. It did a lot for me, and I woke up. Let's say, not the hashtag woke, but I just woke up, you know, that I needed to really, it's got like a kick, you know, to really sort my life out. So that's why I call it revival rooms, because it can be the catalyst to change for a lot of people. And I wanted this place to be just a very welcoming, friendly, customer focused, like treatment place.
Yeah.
You know, for all different walks of life. And we get everyone and anyone in here, all different ages, people for pain, for stress, for anxiety, depression, just a lot of personal issues. Then there's the sports recovery. People suffering burnout, sleep issues. It's anyone and everyone. And I don't know, like there's 4 of us working here now. So I have 3 staff members, and we've kind of talked about it, that we don't know what someone is going through when they come here, you know. So the most important thing for me hiring someone now is someone who's compassionate, empathetic, and kind, because it's all about the clients, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, it's the people that come here, and everyone's on first name basis. It's very friendly. I try to keep it very friendly here. It's not like I didn't want it to be a spa.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be too holistic. I didn't want it to be like a sports recovery place. It's just straight down the middle, you know. It's just for everyone. And that's the way I have this place set up, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I wouldn't have said that. Okay.
Yeah. Older or younger?
Younger. It's always younger.
But yeah, I was 28 when I started floating, and 33 now. So it like I said, it took, let's say, 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
Of personal development. You're just constantly bombarded with things.
Yeah.
And what floating is now is a break from that. It just takes you away from everything. And there's no external stimulus, there's no light that if you wish, now you can leave the light on, but you're basically taking away all the external stressors of life. And you're just lying in a big pod with nice warm Epsom salt water. There's 550 kgs of Epsom salt in there. So, it lifts you up, it suspends you. So you're suspended in this kind of body temperature liquid, and it holds you up, and you're not taking in any external stimulus. So your mind just relaxes.
Is there any benefits to like sensory deprivation?
Of course, yeah. So just think of all the energy your brain is using to take in lights and sounds, and just the feelings and pressure of you sitting on the chair where your arm is leaning, any lights around you, notifications on your phone or anything like that. Your mind is constantly taking in these senses, these kind of sensory input. And when you float in a float tank, you take all that away. So all the power your mind would be using to take in all these senses it's just redirected to other areas like healing. Your mind quietens down and your body relaxes. You can feel your muscles and every part of your body just relax, and it's absolutely amazing.
When you say healing, what do you mean by that? You're taking all these stimulus away from, let's say, the person, the entity. They're left with only themselves, their thoughts.
Yeah, it's redirecting. There's vast amounts of energy going to other areas of the body, just to heal itself, even just mentally. Like physically, you get to take away pressure in all your joints, so all your joints get to fill up a little bit, because it's like there's no gravity in there. So with your physical benefits, and then you have your mental benefits as well, where you're getting a break. Your mind gets to sometimes slips into a kind of a dreaming state.
Okay.
You're pretty conscious sometimes, but you're actually dreaming as well. So it can be a very strange experience. And a lot of things can come up. You can think of things that come up from your past. Random things just come and go. You might think of conversations you've had. You might reconcile things in your head. You might figure out what you need to do. So in that way, it's very healing as well, because people have come out of the float tank and realize they need to do something. They have something to do. They have someone to call. They have a relationship they need to resolve.
I'm going to be quite inquisitive, but what brought you to this point now as the business owner? How do you feel from the journey that you've had?
Well, when I opened first, I suffered from imposter syndrome. Totally. You know that when you're in a position where you're like, you doubt yourself. You're like, should I be? What am I doing? Am I here? Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is a very strange situation to be in, and that carried on for a long time. And I still, even maybe last week or a week ago, I've said to people in conversation, I'm not a businessman. I'm not a businessman at all. This place is just for healing. It's a therapy place. But I am, at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. I have to keep this place going. I have to assume the role as the owner, the businessman, to keep it going, because at the end of the day, that's what'll keep the doors open. And I remember when I first opened, even just charging someone was hard for me. I was just giving discounts to everyone because I felt like I couldn't, who am I to be charging someone €65 for a float? Yeah. And it was difficult, and I was trying to give out free floats to people. I said, no, I won't charge you. If someone I was talking to, a friend or someone I'm acquainted with, I'd give them a free float. And there was some friends of mine who were saying, you can't do that, Eanna. I'll pay, of course, this is your business. You can't just give free floats to people. And that was hard for me.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
Was that another character building moment?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. But that took years. Like I said, even very recently, I'm still saying to people, I'm not a businessman. But I need to really kind of accept that I am,
Yeah.
But there was even being a manager. Say, running the business is one thing, dealing with staff, or being a boss, and having boundaries with staff, and not just being, friends. I would be very open with everyone. I found it difficult to be a boss as opposed to being a friend.
Yeah.
Which, to find the right balance, I'm still figuring that out. As time goes on. So there's a lot to running a business. If it was just me on my own, it'd be a different story. But there is, there's a lot to it with having staff, having customers, dealing with people all day, every day, interacting with everyone on different levels. So, but I really enjoy it. I think it's every day is a new day.
Yeah.
Every day there's new circumstances that I look back on, and I can grow from them.
Growth. Revival. Business, friends, family, people that you're trying to help. Why does it matter? Like, in the short, blunt question, why does it matter?
To me,
yeah,
it matters because I have been so low before. I've been through the worst. I've been through my own personal hell. And there's been times in growing up where I would have nearly succeeded in ending everything. Very close. I was lucky that I got out of that. And I know what it's like to go through hell and not have any outlook on life, have a really bad outlook on life, and being lost and just suffering. There's so much suffering, and I know people are going through that, and that's what this place was for, to help people, to help that, to help end that suffering, or give someone even a good night's sleep or a pain-free day. That's why I did this. That's what it's for.
Could it be something like what you said earlier? It was a way to even consider changing a lifestyle? Because you liked floating so much that this person might consider coming back, might consider not going out on the weekends, might consider, thinking that there is more.
Absolutely. Floating isn't the cure for anything, but it is a stepping stone.
Yeah.
The way I would consider it is just another tool in your tool belt.
Yeah.
To combat these situations and feelings. So if someone feels good for one day, just think of all the decisions and plans they might make to further that. And that can happen just with one float. It can happen with getting into meditation. It can happen with breathwork. There's a lot of things out there that you might only need to do once to really kind of realize that there are things out there that can help you.
The snowball effect.
The snowball effect, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just takes one session of anything, even going to the gym. Go to the gym, you feel great after it. Mm-hmm. And then you might go home and you mightn't get that takeaway. You might eat something more healthy, and then you feel a little better the next day, and you see maybe there's something to this.
Yeah.
It's the same with anything. Anything you do for yourself that's if it's beneficial, it's a snowball effect. And you don't feel so bad.
You don't. And developing that character, the character that you've had to go from what you've gone through to create this place is amazing. But there's a lot of moments where you try and stop yourself. Like we said, going back to wanting to be comfortable again, complacency. What advice would you give someone who is going through those moments of, I'll do it tomorrow. No, we'll do it in an hour. Let me watch this one more episode on Netflix.
Procrastination
station.
Yeah, so I would consider myself the master procrastinator. I have 5 books on procrastination, which I haven't read yet. I'll get to them someday. But that is one. That's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
To change in your life. Absolutely. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll watch, like you said, another episode on Netflix, and 2 hours have gone with your time. But I still battle with that. That is something that I'm actually working on, procrastination. It's very, very evident in my life. Because I had help from my parents and my family to get this off the ground. Now, I kind of oversaw a lot of things, but if it was left to me, there was some days where I wasn't doing anything, and I would need, like, my dad might ring me and ask me, and maybe it was the 10th time he'd ask me, did you get onto this guy? Did you get onto the builder? And it would take me so much time to get things done.
Yeah.
Because I was just kicking everything down the road. It'll happen when it happens. But that's not how life works. Mm. You just gotta do it. You gotta just, like you were saying, even just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it.
Take that step.
Absolutely. But it's the same with habits. You are your daily habits is just a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
And who you become. Your habits today is who you're going to become in the future. It's all compounding. So I found it very difficult to do anything, because it depends on your mood. If I have a load of things to do and there's no, the way I would put it, okay, I would have my own personal deadlines, but they could be never ending. If you have deadlines in work, college, school, someone else set those deadlines. So you have to get the work done when those deadlines are coming close. If you're procrastinating, you might kick the can down the road and pull an all-nighter before an exam instead of studying for a couple of months beforehand, like some people. But when it's totally up to you and there's no deadlines and you set those deadlines, then that's when procrastination can just take over and you don't do anything.
There's a massive difference between finite and infinite.
Absolutely.
So finite being an external force and infinite in yourself. You could put something off that you want to do for yourself, but you're not going to put something off that could benefit another person. Your teachers, your manager. Why do you think we as people, like generally, want to put other people ahead of ourselves in terms of work or ethics? Why is that?
Well, a lot of people do tend to look after someone else more than they would themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's Jordan Peterson said, treat yourself like someone that you're in charge of taking care of. And that comes in my mind a lot, I'm always thinking about that, because we will do things for other people. We will help other people. We will give up our time for someone else and not give ourselves that time and not do those things for ourselves. And the thing is, like, the more we benefit ourselves, the more we help ourselves and grow, and the more we can help other people.
Yeah.
If you can't help yourself, you can't help others,
You can't help anyone if you're trying to fill them from an empty cup.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
What are your targets and ambitions?
My targets are closely guarded secret. No. So my ambitions for this place, I want to grow it. All right. There's business ambitions and personal ambitions. All right. Me personally, as you saw, I have hundreds of books, or not hundreds, but maybe there's probably 100 books there.
About more than 100, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to read all those. You know, I'm on this journey at the moment of just learning about everything, growing, personal growth, like talk therapy, breathwork, floating, retreats, yoga. Even I do a lot of these things now just to learn who I am. That's my main mission at the moment is personal growth. And I'm trying to surround myself with like compassionate people and people who've been through a lot of things, to give me advice, to give them advice.
Yeah.
You know, to help myself and help others. And that's the kind of road I'm on at the moment. It's all personal growth. You know, I want to really figure out who I am, why I do what I do. Because I used to struggle with the self, you know, with the why. And that's what I'm trying to find out.
What is your why?
What is my why?
What is your why?
What is my why? That's the most important thing, because you're working towards your why. You can be working towards something, but if you don't know why you're doing it, why are you doing it, you know?
Yeah.
And if you know why you're doing it, you'll succeed. If there's a reason, if there's a goal, that you know why, you know, you'll work towards that. So with revival rooms, ideally, I would love to have a combination of therapy, like talk therapy, like a counselor, and floating. I think it's an absolutely amazing thing to do with floating, because I think a lot of people should go to therapy, talk, you know. Talk therapy is really important. And just having that time and space after a session of therapy, when you go into a float tank, you have an hour to think about it.
Yeah. You're not gone straight back into the world.
And that's what happens. You go to a counselor. Like I decided I was gonna go to therapy once a week. And I love it. Absolutely love going every week. Talk about work, relationships, interactions I've had, how I might deal with things better, because I want another opinion on the way I see the world.
Yeah.
And things might come up, and there's a lot of integration needed after a therapy session if you've done the work. But as soon as you're finished your session, you're just out into the world again. And it's just busy.
Yeah.
You forget about it. So what I would love is to have a therapist here. That might be a couple of years down the line. But doing a combination of talk therapy and floating would be amazing, I think, for a lot of people. Because you have that space, you have that hour to mull things over, to really think about what just came up, what you talked about. And then maybe journal or just reflect after as well.
Let's go into this. What advice would you give someone trying to build themselves, their characteristics, help themselves? What advice would you give?
I think, well, one of the most profound experiences I've ever had, I've had recently in the last couple of years, has been breathwork. Have you done breathwork?
I've done deep breathing from the Wim Hof method.
Yeah, so it's similar but not the same. So breathwork is something that was absolutely amazing for me. It brought up a lot of things. It was like a gateway to the kind of holistic life, really. So there's a guy, Ronan O'Brien. He does Breathwave Ireland. He's called. He's on Instagram. You could find him. He does breathwork every Wednesday night. So when I started doing breathwork, I had these amazing experiences. It was like kind of emotional release, trauma release. Different things would come up, and he does retreats then as well. So I started going on these retreats with him and meeting like-minded people who are all interested in personal development and growth. And it cemented my
Belief?
I'm not too sure. It kept me on that track of kind of wanting to grow, wanting to figure out things out, because I'm surrounding myself with people that are on the same journey. All right, so I think my advice to someone would be to surround yourself with people who also want to grow.
That's brilliant.
Surround yourself with people that really understand a struggle, or understand that they want to change or you want to change, and that they might have found different things that work for them. They might have an audiobook recommendation. They might have a book recommendation. They might have a retreat that they've been on. Everyone is sharing and open, sharing their experiences and learning and growing off each other, and there's compassion and there's understanding. And I think you need to find those people.
Yeah.
You need to have that around you to really spur you on, to keep you on track.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important things you can do, is just be careful who you spend your time with. And really try to surround yourself with people who are open.
That's a good one. Yeah.
On their journey too.
Yeah. They're not closed. Because who we give our time to is probably the biggest investment we can ever make. Because time is our greatest commodity. Mm-hmm. We only have about, on average, 70 to 95 years.
True.
And what happens if you give 10 of those years to someone who just takes away?
Yes. Yeah. It's even staying in a relationship that's not working for you. Mm-hmm. If it's not working for you, do something about it.
Yeah.
Even friends, if they're, just for example, let's go out this weekend, and you don't want to go out this weekend, you want to do something else, you want to go hiking or something, and they just convince you, come on out, come out. Say no. Say no to things like that. And just find people who are on their journey too.
Yeah.
Find people who want to grow. It's all about growth.
So today's podcast was brought to you from the Revival Room, Eanna Healy's passion project turned into his life, where he tries to help other people find themselves, have a safe space. So Eanna, thank you for being on with us today.
Thank you, Stuart. It's been amazing.
Has it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that yet. Hopefully, I've actually recorded the audio and it's not all messed up and I need to come back in a week.
But this is something that I would say, very anxious about doing.
Yeah.
I did not want to do this.
Did you not?
I love the idea of doing a podcast because I have so much to talk about, and I love people's experience as well.
Yeah.
And this was a big deal for me to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And because I didn't want to do it, I just said, yes, I'll do it.
That's crazy, because trying to do the podcast, even last night, there was a whole thing I was procrastinating. Because I was so anxious to do this today. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, I thoroughly